And so not only did they needlessly spend money down, they went into debt because, as I always tell my clients, the Medicaid caseworker is not your friend. Okay, about 2 years ago, I had a father and son come to me, and it was mom that needed care, and they were talking about Medicaid planning. And I took a look at their assets, and they had a little bit under $200,000 in liquid assets. They had the house, and that was really it. We weren't talking about a big elaborate plan, but it did need to be a plan, and things needed to be done in the right way, in the right order, to preserve as much as possible. And this isn't something where we were going to start setting up trusts and stuff like that. We just had to make sure the power of attorney was good. So I kind of referred them over to David Cole, who I'm going to introduce in a little bit, and said, look, he should be the one running this particular one. He can run through a couple of things, and then he'll tell me what's needed in this overall strategy. He'll tell you what it's going to cost. They went to David. They never came back to me, never came back to him. 11 months later, I get a call, hey, we need a Medicaid-friendly annuity. And I remembered the case, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And they said, well, we went and got a free plan from the Medicaid caseworker. Okay, I need you to tell me exactly what happened and fill out the information again. Well, they had gone to the Medicaid caseworker, and they told Dad to spend all of his assets down, paying for the hospital bills for Mom, paying for Mom's care, and even take money out of the house through a line of credit to pay some of these bills. And the Medicaid-friendly annuity was going to be from Mom's IRA. And that money, because it was income to Mom, was going to the facility first. Medicaid caseworker didn't tell them about that part. And so not only did they needlessly spend money down, they went into debt because, as I always tell my clients, the Medicaid caseworker is not your friend.
If you think it's important for educational videos like this to get out there, then please help us out by subscribing to the channel.
Their job is to get you to spend everything that you can until Medicaid takes over. Now, I'm Jeffrey G. Marsocci. I am the plain English attorney. In addition to being an attorney licensed in North Carolina, I am also a certified Medicaid planner, so I can kind of use that designation to help create strategies throughout the U.S. But I cannot do any legal documents in other states. But that's okay, because the estate planning source carries those exact documents that I use fit to your particular state. So Medicaid planning is something that can be done, and it's a significant advantage that you would have over the other people in your area, the other attorneys, and especially the other financial advisors. How many financial advisors do we have out here? Okay, your hands are raised. How many of you have watched clients and their families spend the money down to pay for long-term care? In a lot of cases, it's needlessly done because there are ways to rearrange assets, sell certain assets, refigure assets, and not necessarily have to have 5 years just to gift them. So the plan that we would have talked about for this gentleman and his son probably would have saved around 70 to 80% of those liquid assets, but they didn't want to pay a couple of $1,000s to get the plan done. The other thing that's out there is there are a lot of so-called Medicaid attorneys. and they are only looking like as far as the tip of their nose to get somebody qualified, because that's what they were, quote, hired to do. But they're not looking at the broader picture. So right now I am working with one of my clients where I did revocable trust planning about 8 or 9 years ago, and it's his mom. She had an attorney, but dad died, okay? House was still joint with the right of survivorship, so now mom owns the whole house, which isn't a problem for Medicaid, but Medicaid, you better believe they're gonna put a lien against that house when mom dies. So it didn't actually save the house. Dad's documents were never updated. Mom is the sole beneficiary of his will. The IRAs, well, that's a little better, but not completely better, because the beneficiary was 1/3 to the son, 1/3 to the daughter, 1/3 to mom. Mom can only have $2,000. All right, so this is the mess that we're cleaning up. But what could we have done? This is the strategy that can help you preserve the assets for your clients and their families. It's not the person who's going into the nursing home saying, I don't want my house to be lost for me. They want it to be preserved for the family. Right? We could have moved the house from mom and dad to just dad. We could have reworked dad's estate plan to, if not cut out mom, have it go into a trust that would be there to pay for what Medicaid didn't pay. We would have had the powers of attorney set up. So unlike what we had with this case from the other attorney, dad was her only power of attorney. So she was left without a power of attorney. Thankfully, it's physical why she's in the nursing home. It's not dementia. We executed another power of attorney, but that would have been another issue. We could have had all this stuff set up, and then once mom qualified for Medicaid, dad could move the house into an irrevocable property trust in case he needed care 5 years down the road. And now we're protecting, not just getting mom qualified, dad's protected in 5 years, the house is preserved, there's not gonna be any Medicaid lien no matter what. And if dad passes on, which he did, that house is protected. I'm gonna give you a little bit of an alarming statistic. 60% of the time, it's the caregiver spouse that passes on first. 60% of the time they go first. You're not really thinking ahead enough if you're not doing stuff for both clients. Now, this is the stuff that I work on with my team. So we've got David Cole in the back. If you could just give him a wave, David. David, it's actually interesting how I got linked up with David. For those of you who have been around for several years, Jerry McCam went through the Certified Medicaid Planning program. That's where she met David, and she linked us up all those years ago, and we've been working together for quite a while now. So David and his care team, we work in conjunction, so he has his people who know the different facilities. They know the different medical conditions. There's a geriatric care manager that we can call on to review the medical records, and this is one of the most important things. We can help narrow down what's the best place for them to get care that Medicaid will end up accepting and paying for. We have Mike in the back. He's our asset coordinator for the law firm, but he also helps assist with these transfers and examining whole life policies and other stuff, because whole life policies, that counts as a liquid asset if whatever the cash value is. So we need to analyze these assets in the right way as a team and review the whole strategy and come up with the best way to preserve the most that we can for the family while making sure that they're going to end up getting qualified. Now, the good news is we are available to help you if you have clients that need that type of assistance. You're the financial advisor. You'd probably rather see the family preserve as much as possible. So if we have to move those assets into an irrevocable trust, you can just turn around and reinvest it for them. If you're the attorney, you want to be able to say, look at what we did and how we helped out your parents. Maybe it's time for you to do your estate planning with us, and maybe there's some other things that you can help handle for the family. It's just going to increase your credibility in the community because you're the person who knows what they're doing, but you also don't have to learn all of this stuff yourself. It does take a whole team to get this done the right way. So the way we run this is through my company called the Care Assistance Center. If you want to learn more just in general about Medicaid planning, if you want to ask questions, we've got a webinar on next Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. I've just got a pad where you can sign up, just put your name and email address, and we'll end up inviting you in. It's going to be via YouTube, so we can send you the link. And ask the questions and see if there's something that's going to strike you, something this is what you want to add to your portfolio of things that you're presenting. The other thing that I have, because I should have something for sale, I've got all of my older practice materials, including scripts and emails, and there's linked to some YouTube videos that explain what some of these different tools in the toolbox are. What's the funeral trust and what's it for, the difference between the property trust and the family trust and all that stuff. It's less than $100. Hit the QR code, it'll take you right to a checkout page. I think it's like $99.25. You're gonna get all those practice materials. Do whatever you want with them. But I'm pretty sure you'll find something that's worth at least $100 to your practice in there. All right, so we've got a couple of minutes. I think we can open it up for a few questions, but I'm also going to be available in the back. So tell me, what questions do you have? Yeah.
So Jeff, what's the biggest issue you run across?
The biggest issue I run across is that people don't understand that there is a lot that they can do even if they don't have 5 years. I have a lot of clients that we say, hey, we need you to come in, or you should come in every year for estate planning. We hear from the kids 6, 7, 10 years later, oh yeah, we need your help. Dad needs to go into the nursing home in the next couple of months. It's dementia. Well, when did you find out about the dementia?
5 years ago.
5 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, okay, then the best strategy is let's get a time machine. We'll go back 5 years and preserve the asset. There's still stuff we can do, but the more lead time we have, the more we can preserve and save through a lot of the shifting around of assets. What other questions we got?
Another
Yes.
question, horror story.
Oh, horror stories. There's a lot of
Speaking
them.
about it, attorneys that are quote Medicaid attorneys. We had a client whose husband and son both had Huntington's disease, which is a terminal illness.
Mm-hmm.
The son passed away in his 30s, and he passed first, and his company allowed him to stay on their books, so he had a substantial life insurance policy that would help the mother and the father. Well, the father quickly joined him about several months later. She spoke to us and we gave her some ideas, but we did not know she'd gone to a local Medicaid attorney who advised her to divorce him to the tune of $40,000. Now, the child's life insurance was enough to pay for a facility for what appeared to have been a short time. In essence, it was about 7 days that he passed. She didn't need any of that. She did not come back to us. He did a whole lot of things that harmed her and her family because you need to divorce him, and she did.
Divorce is an expensive process. In most states, there's typically at least a waiting period. Is divorce something we would never do in Medicaid planning? Well, I can't really say that, but it's really
low on the
way
priority
at the
line.
bottom of the list
Yes.
with all of the other techniques that we can use. And a lot of it is state specific. I'll give you the one case, and I know this is going on video. This works for North Carolina. This isn't going to work in most states, but it's just showing you there is stuff that can be done. We had some clients of mine, husband and wife, and it was her mother that was in a facility, but it wasn't really at that nursing level yet. And she actually had a lot of income. She had her own pension, her own Social Security, and she had a survivor's pension from her husband. And she did have dementia, but she could feed herself, dress herself. The only thing she really needed assistance with was the medications. And you can't let her out the front door because she'll wander off. All right, $6,000 a year coming out of her assets because the income covered everything else. But we knew if it went up even a little bit in care, suddenly those assets are going to start to get drained. Well, what did she have? And I'm kind of rounding these numbers. She had $340,000 in the bank. That was selling the house after Dad died. Okay? She had like 60 grand, just because I want to make it 400,000. 60 grand cash value in a life policy with the kids as the beneficiary. That's the kid's inheritance. We don't want to lose that life policy. All right. Well, Mom can have a house as a primary residence. Okay. Daughter and son-in-law, how much is your house worth and is it paid up? Well, it's $500,000 and yeah, it's paid up. Okay, well, Mom can take $400,000, buy 80% of your house, and you can own it, the three of you joint with the right of survivorship. Again, North Carolina, not necessarily anywhere else. Well, we don't want to end up losing that life insurance policy because the death benefit is the 4 kids' inheritance. All right. Son-in-law buys the insurance policy for cash value, which to Medicaid, that's what they see it as the value, it's cash value. He gets the policy. Mom now has exactly $400,000, put together a contract, put together the deed, do the purchase, make copies of the checks in case Medicaid ever needs to look at it. And now Mom owns, as primary residence, 80% of this house, owned with her daughter and son-in-law, joint with the right of survivorship. Again, 80, 10, 10. Where are they going to put that $400,000? Well, you know, morally, that's Mom's money. Morally, that's the way we're looking at it, even though we sold 80% of our house. They took it and put it into an irrevocable trust with exactly the same people in place who were the power of attorney to be the trustees. The money goes into the trust and it mirrors her estate plan that the 4 kids get everything. What's the first transaction we do once that money goes into that irrevocable trust? The trust buys the life insurance policy back from the son-in-law. And within a couple of months, we filtered everything into that trust. So these are the things and the strategies we can look at and do to help preserve things. Now, I do see that I'm over time. I'm going to be aware of that. Again, if you want to be on that live stream on Monday, please go to the back and sign up on that pad. And if you got any questions for me, David, or Mike, just let us know. Thank you.
Thank you.